everybody, and welcome to another preview from New York Giants on SI. I am Patricia Chaina, managing editor for the site, joined by Brandon Olson, who is one of our senior analysts. And Brandon, the New York Giants host Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football at the Meadowlands. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, has never beaten a team in the NFC East. The Bengals have never beaten the Giants on the road. But what's your feeling for this game, Brandon? What's going to be the key deciding factor for this game?
I think it's about exploiting what the Bengals don't do well. I don't think that their pass rush has been great so far this year, and I think that they've been really susceptible to quarterback run game. And I will say that I know last week I was on this show saying, hey, you're paying Daniel Jones a ton of money. Part of why you're paying him is to use his legs more. I would also urge you to please slide when you are going against everybody. You don't have to just try to bowl into everybody like Cam Newton. You can slide and still use your legs and be effective, because I don't know about you, but when I was watching the game against the Seahawks, there were so many plays where he would kind of just it looked like he was looking for violence. And I was like, all right, I get it. I want you to do it, but please, man, you still have to be healthy to be able to be effective. Yeah, that's something that I think you can use. The Bengals give up, I believe, the second most rushing yards to quarterbacks per game. You can exploit that when you have one of the more mobile quarterbacks in the NFL.
You know, it's funny. I was saying the same thing about him not sliding and using, lowering his head and barreling into guys with his shoulder. And I was like, every time he did that, I was like, oh, get up. But speaking of Daniel Jones, he had a really good game. He's actually been playing good football the last, basically since week 2. His game has been getting better and better. Where do you see the biggest improvement he's made over the last few weeks?
I feel like it's been his decision making. I feel like he's just making quicker reads and just going, hey, get the ball to this guy. Like he's just doing that. I feel like he's, you know what it is now that I'm thinking about? I feel like he's playing with more confidence than we've seen him play with. It's just, don't second guess yourself. Just if you see something, get the ball to them. If you see the lane, run the ball there. I feel like he's been playing with more confidence, and this team desperately needs it as well. And I think part of that confidence probably comes from the significantly improved offensive line. He's had much more time just compared to what we've seen throughout the entirety of his career, where it's been basically take the snap and start getting hit. And I think that the confidence has been a big area of improvement for him, where he just makes decisions and goes after them.
What about the play calling by Brian Daboll? When you look at that, I mean, how much of a difference has that made? And what is Daboll having Jones do differently that maybe Mike Kafka wasn't?
I think Daboll is just a supreme play caller. I feel like that was a thing where I know people have had plenty of question marks about him. I understand that. But that was one of the reasons that I loved the hire of Brian Daboll, was that his play calling ability is truly just awesome. It's really creative. He uses a lot of misdirection with pre-snap motion, and you'll see a counter run with pre-snap motion attached, and then you'll see a play that looks like something you saw earlier, and it's just got a little wrinkle added to it. I mean, we saw a flea flicker tight end screen. Like, that's just stuff you don't see frequently, but having a tight end like Theo Johnson allows you to do that. And I think that Brian Daboll has been really finding success. I think the issue is finding sustained success, because I feel like that was something we saw with Brian Daboll's first year. The offense was moving. They were finding ways, even when they were undermanned or out-talented by the opposing team, they'd find ways to move the ball, score points, and kill clock, help their defense out, and then the door kind of got slammed shut once opposing defenses really got used to that, except for the Minnesota Vikings that year that played them twice within 3 weeks and still couldn't do anything about it. But I do think Brian Daboll really he makes throws easy. He makes reads easy. I love how he uses Wan'Dale Robinson, who I know Wan'Dale is going to be like, yeah, I have 4 yards a catch with 45 catches, but like it gets you first downs. It gets you into the end zone. It's effective. It works. And I love his usage right now.
All right, let's talk specifically, though, about the Bengals. The Bengals are banged up on defense. They lost their top cover cornerback, Dax Hill. So if you're the Giants, Where do you go to attack this Bengals defense, or is it pretty much you can attack them anywhere and have a degree of success?
I think there are multiple points, and I think that's one of the reasons that I have a little bit of confidence in this New York Giants offense this week is that I think you avoid Logan Wilson. Don't look at the PFF numbers that show he's been targeted 10 times and they completed all 10 of those passes. They're, at the line of scrimmage passes that he's allowing. He's one of the better cover linebackers right now. But Jermaine Pratt has all the athletic ability, very little awareness in coverage. And I think that bites them consistently, pick up first downs. So that like Theo Johnson could have a big game if Jermaine Pratt's lined up against him or if he's in Jermaine Pratt's zone. I think that Cam Taylor-Britt has had his moments. He's had some games where he looks really good and some games where it's like, all right, maybe you should not talk the level of trash that you talk. But as a former corner myself, I love the confidence. We'll always support that part of it. Geno Stone has been horrendous in coverage. I don't know what happened with him coming over from the Ravens. I think with the Ravens, he was a very good safety, and I don't think he's been playing like one this year. So I think there's multiple spots you can attack. Mike Hilton's likely coming back from injury. We'll see what he looks like. He hasn't been good this year. He's as weird as it sounds, he's 30, and in the NFL, that's if you even make it that far, it's impressive. But if you do make it that far, that's usually a drop off for a corner. And he's fairly undersized. So I think that you can try to exploit that a little bit. I think there's multiple options to attack in the passing game. If you're Daniel Jones, you should be able to have easy completions with catch and run opportunities at abundance.
Now, what about the offensive side of the ball? Joe Burrow playing really well. I mean, basically, I think he threw 5 touchdowns in the overtime loss to the Ravens last week. They got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I mean, what's the plan of attack if you're Shane Bowen to stop that defense, or excuse me, to stop that offense?
I feel like it's a little annoying that I keep saying this, but I feel like it's just the teams that you're playing right now with the Giants, with the Browns, the Seahawks, just teams that are very pass happy right now, and they're very dink and dunky right now. Your safeties, your corners, they have to come up and make tackles. That has to be a thing, because the Bengals and Joe Burrow, especially throughout his entire career, has been totally content just saying, okay, I'll take what's there. I don't care if it's a 2-yard pass. If there's room to run, I'll take it without hesitation. And that's one thing he does really well. I don't think Joe Burrow is an elite quarterback, but I think he does that at an elite level. And sometimes that gets the job done, especially when you have a guy like Jamar Chase who, once he catches the football, just it explodes. It's insane looking at his stop-start ability. And so I think that passing attack needs to be slowed to an extent, but I think it's hard to slow. I will also say offensive line for the Bengals, not very good on the interior right now. They've invested a lot into tackles, and their tackles are improved, but their interior offensive line has been horrendous. The Chiefs with Chris Jones bullied them. Just bully them on the interior. And Dexter Lawrence, he said it against the Seahawks. Hey, I'm the best. And he's playing like the best right now. And there's prime real estate between Dexter Lawrence and Joe Burrow. And I think Dexter Lawrence wants to buy some of that up so he can close that gap quickly. I think he can wreak havoc. I know Kayvon Thibodeau not being there really isn't fun for your pass rush, but this should be a game where you should be able to generate a pass rush regardless, especially again with Dexter Lawrence's ability.
And then finally, Brandon, what do you think the X factor is in this game for the Giants?
I think it's taking care of the football. Lou Anarumo, who, I mean, obviously experienced with the Giants, was the defensive back coach here. He has throughout his career been able to confuse quarterbacks, take away the football. And that's been a big selling point. I remember at the Senior Bowl in 2021, I had a conversation with Pat Narduzzi, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers, and Lou Anarumo was right there, but I wasn't talking with Lou. But Pat just made it a point to go, you look at this guy, and he is going to be a head coach. He is just so creative defensively. He causes hell for quarterbacks mentally. He does it a lot, and he creates turnovers. And that's what he's done throughout his career. And I think that you can't give them those opportunities, because this is a Bengals offense that, while their record doesn't really show it, they're one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. They score a lot of points, and they can score them like that. And so I think you can't give them extra opportunities to do that when they're as explosive as they are.
All right, everybody. So he is Brandon Olson. I'm Patricia Trainer. The Giants host the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday night. Make sure you keep it on New York Giants on SI for all our coverage, and check it out. Also, we have plenty of stuff leading up to the game, including Brandon's breakdown on what to expect from the Bengals offense and defense in detail. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.